All right. So, welcome to episode 3 of Wheel Life Connections. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Today, we are with Devin McLane. He is an amazing young man. He just lives life to the fullest. He's an advocate for disability rights. He just spoke at the Capitol this year and absolutely loves participating in sports. Devin's been featured on Born Different, the Inside Edition, and various newspapers. Publications due to his abilities and all that he does to overcome and adapt. Devin always puts his best foot forward and never lets anything stop him. So, Devin, we are so excited to have you here today on Wheel Life Connections. I know I just talked all about you, but can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you like to do?
Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Devin McLane, and I'm 16 years old. I love hiking, swimming, shooting archery, wrestling. I live in Montana, and I just love doing everything that the outdoors has to offer.
Very nice. And so for this month, we're featuring some of our AMCers or arthropsychosis. Can you tell me a little bit about your disability?
Yeah. So, my disability is called arthrogryposis multiplex congenita, and so it affects my whole body. And so I do most things with my feet because, as you can see, my arms don't really work. I kind of refer to my hands as a claw because my fingers don't really work. But so I do everything with my feet. I cook, I eat, I do archery, and I draw with my feet as well. And also with my condition, it has deformed my feet to where I walk on the tip of my toes. So around school and for going long distances, I utilize my wheelchair that I've slowly been customizing. And then also just for around the house, I use my wheelchair because it just makes it easier than trying to walk.
That's awesome. So you've pointed out a lot of things. So let's talk about your wheelchair. You say you've been customizing it. What's some new customizations you've added to your chair?
Yeah, so I've slowly just been adding like stickers to my wheelchair, or I put a bandana over my headrest of my
Nice,
wheelchair.
nice, very cool. That's awesome. So how did you learn to start using your feet? Is it just something that came naturally, or what did somebody suggest and then you practice? How did that work for you?
When I was really little, my mom just saw my feet, and so she put a bottle in it and had it to my feet, and realized that that was just the best way for me. And then for me, I just kind of figured out on my own that was the easiest way for me to do so. And so ever since then, I've just adapted everything to either my feet or my mouth.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. I don't use my feet, wish I could, but I use my mouth for everything. So I totally understand. That's really cool. My arms are just stuck straight like yours are too. So mine don't really do much for me either. But that's really awesome. So, okay, so you said you cook with your feet, and I just watched you in your video make pancakes and eggs for breakfast. How long did it take you, and how many times did you burn your feet before you were able to successfully make breakfast?
Um, I've burnt myself a lot. I still like working on making breakfast. Every once in a while, I do make a mistake. I might uh, drop some eggshells in the eggs. Or one time, I was cracking an egg on the counter, and there's a space between our stove and our counter,
Uh-huh.
and use that to crack the egg. The entire egg fell between the counter. And I smiled and I raised my legs in the air, and I was like, "That's the story of my life."
That's awesome. So I fully cook with my mouth, and everybody's like, "Ew, I can't eat that. You just touched that with your mouth." I'm like, "I didn't spit on it. I just used my mouth. That's how it goes." But I don't think anybody understands that as well as we do. All right, so let's talk a little bit about growing up with a disability. So, obviously, are you a senior in high school or junior?
A junior.
A junior in high school? Okay, great. And so throughout school, did you ever experience any types of bullying or anything like that?
Yes, everybody at one point or another has experienced bullying. For me, when I was little, I used to get made fun of for my arms. I used to get called T-Rex arms a lot by little kids. Or I would be told that I can't play football because I can't use my arms. Or kids would laugh at me because I use my feet to write. I've also been bullied by adults. In particular, I had one adult tell me that I would be better off being a manager instead of competing on the wrestling team, because he told me that I wouldn't challenge the other athletes enough and it wouldn't be fair to them. But I have a good support system and I have my faith to fall back on that helps me get through all of it.
That's awesome. And that's a really good way to combat that. And I think you brought up a really good point. So I know when I was younger, bullying in school was here or there. Kids would always ask, like, why are your hands like that? Or why do they look so different? But as I started growing up and I became an adult and now live kind of independently on my own, adults are more bullies. They always say I can't do things, or they're like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should just stick to staying at home. And I'm like, wow, okay. So just a surprise how kids are a lot different because they're just inquisitive and they want to know, but they're not really sure how to ask. But yeah, I think I've seen a trend over the last couple of individuals I've talked to that as we get older, we seem that adults are more open to making those assumptions. So it's quite interesting. So how about if you're going out and about and somebody is staring at you or whispering and kind of moving along past you, how do you combat that, or do you say anything to them, or how does that make you feel?
Yeah, so when I was little, I used to ask my mom how come people were staring at me, and it would annoy me a little bit when everybody was always staring at me for using my feet to eat at a restaurant. But now I understand that people are just curious and they think it's cool that I'm using my feet to eat. Sometimes I do wish, though, that people would just come up to me and say either, hey, that's cool that you're doing that, or if they have any questions, just come up and ask me.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think it's really good if people just come up and ask. Most of us are pretty open to answering questions, so I always encourage that as well.
Yeah. Or otherwise, I don't really say anything about it. I just keep on being me.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was younger, I used to drive my wheelchair with my head. And so all the little kids would walk by and they'd whisper to their parents, Mom, is she using mind control? And I just wanted to say yes a few times. I was like, yes, I just think and the chair moves. Isn't that so cool? But, I have to be honest, I can't lie about that stuff, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So let's see. I know you are really into wrestling. What got you into wrestling?
One day, in middle school, the wrestling coach just came up and asked me. He said, "Hey, wrestling's going to be starting up soon. Would you like to join?" And so I grabbed a paper on it and I read a little bit up on it from the little flyer that he was handing out. And then that night I came home and I came with my mom. I was like, "Hey, Mom, can I try wrestling?" And my mom looked at me surprised. And my mom never says no to me trying stuff. So she was like, "Sure, we'll figure it out. But yeah, you can join." And so I joined wrestling team, and the whole team was super open to me joining. And the team helped me out a lot, figuring out moves. And the coaches would help me out a little bit. And I just loved wrestling. I'm an active kid. I love doing sports. And I love wrestling for me because it was a team sport, but also it was an individual sport to where you could just be yourself and put your heart out on the mat.
That's awesome. That is very cool. I play soccer, so I play a sport as well. And I just think it's really cool how we can kind of adapt the sport so we can still play. But I didn't learn that until I was in college, so I didn't get to play a sport when I was younger. But now that I've seen all those things, I've done some crazy extreme sports. Have you done any other sports that you found really cool and exciting?
Yeah, I've done swimming. I was on a swim team. On paragliding, I was on a gymnastics team. I also competed on a Lego robotics team.
Oh, cool.
Also, I used to play soccer a lot. I did that for about 5 years.
Very cool. That's awesome. So the next thing you need to try is indoor skydiving, because I just did that and it was probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I've heard about that, and it sounds really cool. I want to try it.
It's really cool. It's still really scary, and it's probably just as scary as jumping out of an airplane, but it was really fun.
Yeah, and I have archery a lot.
Archery?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you do that? Is it competitive for you or just something like a leisurely activity for archery?
Both. I have done a couple archery tournaments, and actually at one of them, there was probably about 35 guys there, and I outshot all of them. I was the only one to hit a quarter at 30 yards.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So what's next for you? What's your next goal or something you want to accomplish next?
My next goal is to be accepted into MIT and go there for architectural design because I want to design buildings that are easily accessible to all and that are also self-sustaining.
That is so cool. Is MIT going to be, is that far from where you live? Are you going to live on campus or are you going to stay at home?
No, I won't be able to stay at home. MIT is across the country from me.
Okay. Sorry,
So
not very good at geography over here.
yeah, so I would probably live on the dorms on campus.
Nice. That's super exciting. So you said architecture, so and building different buildings, like public buildings that people have access to, or what type of architecture you're looking to get into?
So the kind that I want to get into is like industrial buildings um, or homes that for people. I'd like to make homes that are a lot just easier for people because at one point or another, most people are going to be um, hurt or they might be in a wheelchair just due to old age. And so I like to think about designing buildings or homes that are already kind of more geared towards people with injuries or people with wheelchairs so that it's just easier and more adaptable for them. And also that it's self-sustaining so that it doesn't pollute the earth as much. And so that run off of the earth's natural resources like the sunlight.
Well, that's super exciting. So I'll reach back out to you when you're graduated so that you can build me my house. I'll be your first client.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan. I've always wanted a smart house that everything moves so I can reach it with my wheelchair. So there you go. So let's see, Devin, do you have a role model or who motivates you to keep going, or do you have some kind of way you motivate yourself to keep going every single day?
Yeah, so my role model is my uncle, Michael McLean. He's also my mom's twin, but he has never looked at me or spoken to me or treated me any different from anybody else. He's always willing to let me help in when he's either fixing a car or working on any of his various little tinker projects he works on. Also, he's always there if I need help fixing something or if I just have a question about something, I can always reach out to him and ask him or get his help. And yeah, because I love getting my feet dirty and I'll do oil changes and stuff, or my mom will help me just fix stuff. I love fixing stuff.
That's really cool. And so what keeps you with your positive attitude? You seem like you are willing to try just about anything. How do you keep that can-do attitude? A lot of people get discouraged when they fail at something or not able to accomplish something, but you seem to always pick yourself back up and try again. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going is my faith. I have really strong faith, and so that helps me going. It helps me keep going. But also, I try to always believe in myself and tell myself that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And then also, I surround myself with people that have disabilities that either know what I'm going through or understand my struggles. And I try to join a lot of groups that support people with disabilities and help us just live our best life, like Dream Adaptive and moving forward in groups like them.
Very cool. That's awesome. And so we talked about your wheelchair. Do you use any other types of assistive technology or anything to make life a little easier?
Yes, unfortunately, due to my condition, during wrestling, I'm not able to catch myself when kids pick me up. And so I got a TBI. So now I use a hearing aid and also I have to utilize glasses. and I use speech to text for writing assignments at school. And also, for when I do walk, I have to use ankle braces to help me stay balanced and walk.
Okay, and so when you're at school, I know you said speech to text. Do you use Apple products? Are those seem to be the easiest to use, or do you have a certain program you like best?
Yes, I use a program called Google Docs. It is a free writing program that has speech to text integrated in it. So all you need a microphone, and you just click a button and you talk, and it writes down everything you say. And the commands for it are super easy to learn and use, and it has very minimal issues.
That's really cool. I'll have to check that out. I've never found one I really like yet. Siri was okay, but sometimes Siri doesn't listen to me very well, so I haven't found one I like yet.
I really liked Google Docs. I used to use Dragon, but that was just having so many issues that I switched over to Google Docs, and I love it so much easier. It's so much easier and user friendly.
That's good. Yeah, Dragon's hard for me to use too. I always kind of forget that I'm talking to somebody else at the same time that I'm writing my paper, and it's writing that conversation and my conversation at the same time, and it's a mess. So that's cool. I'm glad that that works, and I definitely think I should look into that. That's neat. I've never heard of that before. Uh, so kind of wrapping up here, I don't want to keep you too long today, but is there anything currently right now in your community that you would like to see changed or see more accessible for people with disabilities?
Yeah, first and foremost, the high school at my school, at my town, Stevensville, I would like to see that more wheelchair accessible and friendly, because right now it's not really wheelchair accessible at all. Also, I'd like there to be more sidewalks around my town, because it's very dangerous for me to drive my wheelchair in the road to get to places.
Gotcha. There's just no sidewalks at all, or there's no cutoffs like the ramps that go down?
Um, there's not really a lot of sidewalks at all in my town.
Okay. Gotcha. And in the school, is it more like doorways and opening and closing things like that, or is like elevator access and room in the classroom?
It's everything. There's not really any wheelchair accessible parking. The doors aren't really wheelchair accessible. Most of the time, the buttons either are broken or don't work. And there's only one exit that I can use in my wheelchair. All the other exits I can't use because they either have stairs or there's dips or grass that my wheelchair cannot go on.
Gotcha. Is it an older school?
Yes, and
Yeah.
right under construction, so they might add a little bit more accessibility.
That's cool. So I'll tell you a really quick funny story. When I moved to Florida, so I'm in Florida right now, I went to fifth grade at a school that was probably over 100 years old, and they didn't have. So I don't know, but I have used to have paraprofessionals when I was in school who would follow me around all day, and they didn't have one when I started there in fifth grade. So they used the crossing guard lady as my caregiver in school. Kind of weird, but she was really great. She was just a lot older. And so it was quite an interesting experience as a fifth grader. And then my science class was upstairs in the main building, and the elevator didn't work. They had one, but they hadn't had an inspected in 25 years. So I didn't have science for fifth grade until the end of the year. So I understand the school thing, but my school is just really old, and the accommodations just weren't quite right.
Yeah.
All right, so last question for you. Is there anything currently that maybe somebody who's not necessarily in the disability community that they may do that makes you feel uncomfortable, that they tend to do without realizing?
Yeah. Thing. One thing that kind of annoys me that people do is like they'll mess with my wheelchair and they'll just play with it and act as if it's kind of like a toy, which it isn't. And it just kind of gets frustrating when people are just pushing buttons on my wheelchair and playing with it, even though I'm sitting like right here in my wheelchair.
Exactly. Like, this is my bubble. Don't touch anything within my bubble. I don't know about you, but we had my last discussion, we were talking about how, like, if you ever go to a store, does anybody at the cash register ever offer you a balloon? They're like, oh my gosh, a balloon would look so cute on your wheelchair. And I'm like, oh my goodness, And I have to be very polite, but I'm 26 and a balloon just is not going to look good on my wheelchair.
No, I haven't ever had that one.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, it's quite an experience what people will say. And I know they mean it out of very nice and kindness, but you never know who you're talking to. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, last thing I want to wrap up with today, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you'd like to share with our Real Life Connection viewers, or any piece of advice you'd like to give the community? Anything at all like that?
Yeah, a piece of advice that I would like to give is always believe in yourself and advocate for yourself, and just know that as long as you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything. And then also my two favorite quotes. My first one is "Why fit in when you were born to stand out," and that's by Dr. Seuss. And then my other favorite quote is "Creativity is intelligence having fun," and that's by Albert Einstein.
Those are awesome quotes. And I love Dr. Seuss because he always talks about being different. So that's a great person, and a great author for this as well. I really appreciate you sharing today, Devin. It was really great to meet you. I hope we can continue to stay connected. I'm definitely reaching out to you for my first house. So please go get that degree so you can build me a house. And you'll have to come to Florida because that's where I live. So it'll be a nice trip. But thank you so much for being a part of Real Life Connections today. If our viewers have any questions or anything, I'll make sure that you have contact information and they can reach out and follow you on Facebook and Instagram as well. But thank you so much, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, for having me here.